Morning again on this beautiful sunny day. 3 weeks in a row we've had sun. Isn't that fabulous? This morning is going to be my last lesson with you. And I wanted to share something that God has made so very clear to Wayne and I over the last 2 months. And please forgive me if I start crying. You all know that back in January I made a trip to Florida to visit a friend of mine from high school that 54 years ago I met. And I've been promising to make this trip for 12 years. And I finally was able physically to do it, so I went. Had the best time. I had no stress. I was so relaxed. I was sleeping 8 to 9 hours a night compared to 1 to 2 here. I was breathing a lot better. It was amazing. The day before I left to come home was kind of hard for me because I felt such a pull to stay there. If it would have been possible, believe me, I would have stayed. You know, I was that happy down there. I actually felt a sense of dread coming back to the cold and the snow and stuff that I don't want to be near. And I have this fear that I live with every day, every time I leave the house, because I have to go up and down 7 stairs. And I've been known to fall down and up those stairs in the past to the point of breaking bones and whatever. And so I always have this fear that I'm really going to fall and hurt myself really badly. The idea of living in Florida originally came up in 1992. When I went down to Orlando to see our son graduate from basics from the Navy. The heat index never went below 125 the entire time, even at night, but we loved it. The bugs were disgusting. Our hotel was under reconstruction, I guess you could say, and we had one of the older rooms, and there were bugs in the room, and it was terrible. But the people, we fell in love with the people and with the relaxed atmosphere, and we started talking about possibly retiring there. Long way off. We visited 4 or 5 more times, I've lost count, over the next 12 years, 10 years. Various places in Florida, different times of the year. Been there in every season. Been to Atlantic Coast, been to Gulf Coast, been everywhere. Visiting a lot of friends and visiting a lot of different areas. And still until the late 90s, we talked about it. And then I started with physical problems in 2000. My first back surgery in 2001. I've had 11 surgeries since then. God gave me the best guy in the world with him, I'll tell you, to put up with that. The idea all night, that night before I left, kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger in my head. And I didn't think this was of God. I really didn't. I kept fighting the idea and fighting it. Thought, nah, this is never going to happen. No, this isn't of God. And I got on the plane, and Emmy and I were sitting there talking, and she came out with one statement. I don't want to go home. And that started me and her crying. And it was then that I finally realized this is of God. This idea is of God, because I had a total and complete, deep down in my soul, peace about this idea. As much as I cried and fought it, in my humanness, I knew this was of God. I waited 8 hours to hit Wayne with this. We had been home, and I had been telling him how things were, and he and John, and I was filling their heads, and they were tuning me out, of course, as they always do. And John went upstairs to bed, and I kind of met him in the hallway, and I kind of threw it at him. Honey, I really think that maybe we should think about moving to Florida. And he looked at me like I had four heads. Just forget this. And I said, honey, you don't understand how much better I felt. I said, I really think in my heart this is something we need to do. Please just think about it. Just think about it. Just think about it for a couple of days. This was Saturday night on the 27th. And we didn't come to church the next day. I don't remember why, but we didn't. And Monday was our anniversary, 47 years. And got up, and we still hadn't talked about it, hadn't even mentioned it. And he had to make a business call. Quietest man on the planet, who never says a word. You all know how quiet he is. He hates to be on the phone. He's on the phone talking to this person, and I'm across the room. And all of a sudden I hear him say, well, Bill, we're going to be moving to Florida. After I wiped myself up off the floor, because he didn't say a word of this to me. He tells this to a guy we hardly know. But again, I'm sitting there like, now I know this is definitely of God, because God had to be working in him for the past 2 days for him to all of a sudden come out with us. I told him, after he got off the phone and we started talking about it, I told him it would probably take a year. By the time we settled everything up here and got rid of the house and packed everything, 47 years of junk that I have no idea why I kept most of it, but now he's committed to this move, and I know that God is committed to us. So what I have to do is commit to God and to him to go through 47 years of sorting and packing and tossing and donating, and okay, I can do this. Well, here we are, 8 weeks later, and we're packed up almost all the way, I would say 70%. We have the movers coming tomorrow to give us the estimate on what it's going to cost and to give us a date on when they can take our first shipment. They won't take it down, they're just going to store it until the day we leave. I've got a pathway through my house right now, and I haven't seen my table in probably 2 months because everything winds up on top of the table. We had Easter dinner sitting in front of the TV set last week. The point of all this comes down to a real easy to remember and easy to commit to statement. Listen, trust, and have faith. If I wouldn't have listened to God that night or the next day, and really listened and realized that it was of him, this wouldn't be happening. I had to trust him that if this was of him, Wayne would see it, Wayne would agree, and that everything would work out in time. And I had to have faith. We both had to have faith that this all was going to work out in his time and in his way. We've had obstacles come up where I know it was Satan attacking us. To the point where I was in tears and he was upset, and it was the first time was a Wednesday, and it was a nasty attack. And we started driving here, and we're on the thruway coming to Bible study that night. And we got partway here, and I said to him, "Oh my God, I know what's going on. We're getting attacked. Evidently, this is an attack, definitely from Satan." So I immediately started binding Satan and taking his power away and telling him he had absolutely no power because we're reigned by the King of Kings. We follow the Lord of Lords, who is in charge and in control of everything in this situation. Get out. By the time we got here that night, we found out that we weren't the only ones under attack. Everybody we knew was under attack that day. But we all sat and we prayed that night, and we went home with a very peaceful heart. And we've had a few more times where we've had attacks, but didn't ruffle my feathers. I learned the first time. You ain't gonna do nothing to me. You might have a forked tail and a forked mouth, and you might be red and have horns, but you ain't got nothing on me because I have him. We have him. And I've lost my place. Oh, I know where I am. We left last month to go and find our new home in Florida. We left on a Monday. By the time we got to our hotel, it was late in the evening. So we didn't really get started until Tuesday morning. We had 8 appointments to see places that day. And I took my friend Kathy with me, who's experienced in buying and living in a mobile home. She knew what to look for. And she's also an RN. And I figured by 4 o'clock in the afternoon I'd be needing CPR. So she was, and believe me, she was a godsend because she knew what to look for and what questions to ask. And I thank God every day for her. So we got through the first 6. And the 5th one that we saw was one that I had seen. I had been following all these houses online for the last 2 months, and I had a list of what I wanted to see. And the agent took us to this one that was on my list, but it was at the bottom of my list. I just couldn't see myself living there. The picture only showed it from the side. And it was encouraging. I mean, there were a couple of things on the outside that I liked and a couple of things on the inside, but it was unfurnished. And that was a big deal for me. I wanted furnished. The minute I walked in that house, I heard a voice that is very familiar to me. And it was, "Ha ha ha, guess what? This is your house." Nah, this is not going to be my house. Ha ha ha. Every time I had a doubt in my head, I'd hear it, ha ha ha. But I kept my mouth shut, didn't say nothing to anybody. And we walked through 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, huge living room, dining room, kitchen that's gorgeous, laundry room, screen room to die for. Gorgeous ceramic tile floor with an emblem in the middle. 13 by 14, big, huge screen room. Double carport, double driveway. The agent told me that the storage shed is the envy of every man in the park because it's double-sized. We have no neighbors in the back, no neighbors on the one side because it's a corner lot. And across the street is a bird preserve. Quiet. There's no traffic except for the people who live in that corner of the park. So you watch out for cars and golf carts. I can live with this. Still didn't say anything to anybody. But Kathy is like, look at this. Deb, that's great. Deb, there's tie-downs. Deb, there's overstraps. Deb, this cardboard's not going anywhere. Deb, look, this is on your list. She was going right down the list of things, and I'm still just not willing to say yes. We saw one more place, number 6. Went back to Kathy's for lunch. And we sat there, and we had the original idea that we would go back to the hotel that evening. We'd all talk about what we saw, and then we'd make a decision. We're sitting at Kathy's, and she was making spaghetti, and he and I are kind of just looking at each other, and finally I said, well, what did you think about what we saw this morning? He said, well, give me the papers, because the agent gave us a sheet on every one of them. And he starts going through them, and he said, well, he says, I really like this one. And he hands it to me, and it's that house. Well, I kind of liked it too. Do you really think this is the one? He says, yeah. He said, I really do. I said, well, Kim said she's showing it 2 more times today. Do you really want to lose it? Take the chance? He said, no. He said, call. Call and make an offer. Well, if we're not supposed to get it, the offer's not going to go through, right? In 15 minutes, they accepted the offer. And the only contingent is that they wanted to close on April 15th. Not going to happen, and the agent told them that. Not going to happen on April 15th. May 15th we can do. So their little thing was, well, if it goes past April 15th, we're going to prorate the rent. You pay the rent. Okay, fine, we'll do that. It's worth it to us. Great place. Absolutely great place. Worst storm, other than a tornado I was once in, I've ever seen in my life came through that afternoon. And I sat through this thing thinking, this is not meant to be. Went to look at the last 2 places. The first place I told the guy I don't even want to look at. We just made an offer on another place and we're happy with it. He said, well, what about the second place you were? I said, well, yeah, we want to look at that because that my brother's interested in. So we went and looked at that. Oh my God, to die for kitchen. So it's half the size of what, well, it's maybe 2/3 the size of ours. Beautiful brand new kitchen, 2 bedrooms, living room, little dinette area, beautiful screen room, storage room, and there's 3 butterflies on the side of this place. The minute I saw the butterflies, I knew this was it. So I called John. I said, hey, John, I just saw your place. Agent's going to call you first thing in the morning. It's yours from here on in, but you're going to love this place. It's perfect for you. John has his place. After a little confusion with that, that went through. He's already got his place. He's ready to go May 15th. One of the hardest things in all this was realizing that we didn't really have too much keeping us here except you guys. You guys are our family. We don't really have family to say that we're leaving, other than my great niece, who we're giving our house to, her and her 2 kids. She's been through a lot. She's only 28, and she's been through an awful lot in her life, and she deserves a break. So we decided that she deserved to get someplace that she could depend on for her kids. The most grateful person on this earth. Day doesn't go by that I don't get a text or a call from her Aunt Deb, I can't believe you're doing this for me. I love you, and I'm so grateful. She called me, or she was there Thursday night, and she was telling me that her grandpa was in the hospital, not doing well. Well, her grandpa passed away yesterday, and I got a letter yesterday from our lawyer. The deed's been transferred. It's already in her name. And I was like, well, do I tell her or don't I tell her? Will I wait? Well, I gotta tell her. So I just sent her a text and told her I just heard from Bob, and I got the letter, I got the paperwork. Deed's been transferred into your name. You now own the house. And of course I get back, oh my God, I'm so grateful. I love you so much. I can't believe you're doing this for me and my kids. She has a 10-year-old son and a 2.5-year-old little girl, Emily, who's going to be living next door to Emily. Beautiful, beautiful kids, and she's such a great mom. She's had no luck with men. Both of the kids' fathers are strange. I don't want to be unchristian about this. I just don't understand how anybody could leave a woman like that with 2 kids to take care of on her own. But anyway, so we've got plans to leave on May 12th. So our last day here will be May 6th, which none of us want to think about. But we're going to do a potluck luncheon after dinner, after service that day, so that we can say goodbye to everybody and have something nice to remember before we leave. Oh, good heavens, I didn't think this was going to be so hard to get through. Anyway, let's get back to what the whole point was. Just reinforcing the idea of listening. It's so important just to sit still and listen. And just remember to feel your heart. If you've got peace about something, you know it's definitely of God. And that's what we have, is total peace. Trusting, which is, to me, extremely difficult because I'm a person who likes to have control. And I'm one of these that gives control to God and 10 minutes later takes it back. And then 10 minutes later realize what she did and have to give it back again. So it's a constant struggle for me to do that, to trust. Give it to Him and let Him handle it. And it's so hard for me, but I'm learning. Having faith. God has promised us time and time and time again that if we have faith in Him, He's going to be faithful to us. He's proved it to us in so many ways over the last couple of months. Each one of the attacks was solved by prayer and a phone call. Each time. Praise God, He is so faithful to us. And I'm having faith in Him that He's going to continue the love that we felt in this church from the day we walked in, from the minute we walked in. I don't know if any of you remember, I know Katie does, we were in turmoil when we came here the first day. We had no idea where the Lord was leading us. And when we walked out those doors that afternoon, The two of us looked at each other and said, we're home. This is it. This is what God wants us. And I can't speak for him, but I can speak for me that this has been the most amazing relationship that I've ever had in my life with all of you. He's built up my confidence in myself, in my spirituality, in my relationship with him. He's reinforced my relationship with my husband. He's established so many friendships here. Family relationships. To the point where y'all are back brothers and sisters. And I'm having faith that he's going to get us through leaving here. And we want you to know that you all have such a big part in our hearts, and you will always have a place in our home. It's one reason we bought such a big place, so that you all would come down and stay with us. Got more than enough room, believe me. The living room is almost as big as this room is. We could have our own church down there. So, yeah, please do come. Ronnie.
Yeah, May 6th, when you're going to have that dinner downstairs, why don't you have a potluck? Well, I'll bring something in.
That's what we're doing.
Oh, because I'll bring the Polish sausage.
Oh. Well, I guess that went over quite big, didn't it? Yeah, I think that's one of the best ways for us to be able to leave you, is to be able to spend time with you and sit and visit. And we all will make sure that you have our address and our contact information. And please remember, listen, because he's always got such great things for us. Trust in him, because he always knows what's good for us, much more than we do. And have faith. Just have faith that everything is going to work out in his will and to our good. And remember that we love every one of you.